You're on the bridge. और ब्रिज के आज के एपिसोड में once again हर एपिसोड की तरह हमारे पास आज भी एक टॉपिक है coming your way every Wednesday and every Thursday 12 से लेके 1 बजे तक a topic based show right here on RadioDabang. और आज ब्रिज के एपिसोड में once again as always my co-host for the show Jan is right here in the studios. Hello Jan, how are you doing?
Hi everybody, I am doing absolutely awesome. I'm here live, trying to put in my 2 cents from revitalized communities. I'm just happy to be here and happy to be a part of planning such great platforms for everyone.
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. I think we would need you to come a little closer to the mic.
Can you get me now?
Yes,
a little bit closer?
Yeah,
okay.
That's much better. Jan, you know what? Today's episode and today's topic is very important because this is one of those things that a lot of people in our community are affected by. And
yes.
They've been talking about it. And they're concerned about it as to how it is going to affect us and our lives as well.
And let me tell you, Lena, and not just, I mean, this topic is so deep to my heart. And I told you guys when Pegah was here before, how I'm a melting pot in my bloodstream. I mean, from my mom being mixed, really, and from my dad, you know, so, and then growing up in the melting pot, capital, which is Fort Lauderdale, Miami, you grow up with these issues and concerns about your friends and they become your family being legal and having a legal status. So I know so many friends here, pals, associates that they're not reaching out because right now it's kind of nervous. Before it wasn't like that. You just call someone, tell them to help you get it together, and you get it together. Now, with everything being so sensitive, I've noticed that a lot of people are just afraid, and I want us to really get that out there that we're here and we're putting people in place so that you can just delete the fear and get the help, because a lot of people are afraid to come forward and not get this free help. There's workshops, just different things that Pegah and other people that I know of can bring to the table. And I just hope that the listeners and this listener base goes as far as, like I said, South Florida to across the Caribbeans, Jamaica friends that need to hear that help is available. And if Pegah doesn't answer that question today, she's going to give her phone number, give a website, email address that you can reach her on, because Lena and I've worked so hard to get this out there. And I really hope that if people are listening, it's not your issue and it's someone's issue that you know of, that you really pay attention and know that this is serious, because it doesn't just affect me or you. Right. It affects so many people when a person's life is just bam.
Yeah, and if you look at the poster that I made today,
you know, I gotta send it to Pegah.
Yeah, so I actually, it really hit me. I really got with it because I know this person who actually came to this country as a minor. And this was long time ago, and you know they're absolutely fine. They're not going to be affected by it. But I have heard their story, and when they shared their story with me, that what was it like coming to this country, you know, when you're not able to make all those decisions, and you know, you're at such a young age and you don't even understand these boundaries and these borders.
Yes.
and the world political system, and why you cannot go to a certain country, and why you have to go in a certain way, why you have to live your life in a very certain way, why you have to live your life underground, and why you are in this country, and what was wrong with the previous country. For a minor, for a young child, for a young person to understand that, it's very difficult. They go through a lot. And we have had a lot of people, you know, call us up and let us know. And in fact, some people in my friends as well. Masoodji, one of our RJs, was asking, you know what, this is something that we haven't talked about. And he told me this on Friday. And as soon as he told me this on Friday, I was like, you know what, Masoodji, we are doing it on Wednesday.
Really?
Yes.
See how that all works together?
Yep, absolutely. So without any further delay, let's welcome our guest and our contributor for today. A wonderful, lovely lady. Pegah Rahgozar, and she has been with us right here in the studios before as well. And she's an immigration attorney. She is Iranian by origin. I was just telling her off the air that we Desi people, we love people from Iran.
I love
we love the Persian language as well.
Yes.
So Pegah, thank you so much for once again coming to our studios.
Yes.
We're going to talk about two things today. First and foremost, we're going to be talking about DACA. DACA, what it means. If you didn't know anything about it, अगर आपको नहीं पता कि what DACA is, who it is affecting और कौन इससे सबसे ज़्यादा affect हो रहा है, stay glued. इस वक्त आप रेडियो दबंग का पेज पर हमें देख रहे हैं. You can go onto the official Radio Dabang page on Facebook and watch a live broadcast. Put a face to the voice. You know my face, you know Jan's face, but put a face to Pegah's voice as well. And online on RadioDabang.com. And through the app, you can listen to us. And across Houston, of course, 105.3 के डायल पे हमारी आपकी ये मुलाकात है. Thank you, Pegah, for being with us once again. So let us know, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. So,
yes, well, thank you so much, Lena.
Start bonding.
Thank you so much for having me on the show once again. My name is attorney Pegah Rahgozar. I'm originally from Tehran, Iran. I also came here when I was younger, when I was probably 7 years old, but legally, of course, they're my parents who obtained green cards and they came over. But for many of us, when we come here at a young age, of course, we don't know any better. Just like you said, we don't know where our parents are taking us, the decisions they make for us, and we end up here in this country or in a country that's not our original country. I'll kind of go ahead and just dive into what DACA is, as you mentioned. So DACA was implemented under the Obama administration back in 2012, and a lot of people kind of assume that only the Hispanic community is affected by DACA, or those are the ones that are the dreamers or are eligible for DACA, when in fact is any eligible youth who came in as a child whose parents brought them over here. And these are individuals even that came in on a visa and then overstayed, but they met the criteria.
Oh, that's a good point. So it is some individuals or youth that came in on a visa and they just pretty much kind of overstayed, got implemented into the system or whatever, and they overstayed that stay. So DACA protects.
Basically, so one of the requirements on DACA, when it was initially implemented, was that you had no status on that day that it was implemented. So you could have been a visa overstay or you could have been illegal. So that's why you have a lot of individuals from the Middle East or other parts of the world who actually were here on a visa, just overstayed it, and they met the other criteria for physical presence between a certain year and things like that.
Oh, okay.
But initially, it was just basically administrative relief under Obama from deportation, and those eligible youth, they came in as young children, and those were individuals that were eligible who entered before the age of 16, basically, and they had to meet certain criteria, like I said, the physical presence, being here between certain time frames, and of course having some sort of high school or GED or be in college at the time.
So that could be a student. I had to do a study, research last year in one of my classes, and it was about that, like the international world and the students being able to come in and how the visas affected them. So that could be, and I found out that during that time, President Obama he did something like he extended the months or something that they could stay.
Well, they wanted to implement they wanted to expand the category, and also include parents of those eligible individuals. Unfortunately, that didn't.
So that's what that was about. It was it was just at the table, but
it just never went into effect. So we just got stuck with whatever the initial DACA was.
But
those were the talks to expand it.
Just what it is. They come in, they protect you.
They were here before the age of 16, and this is individuals that are going to be protected from deportation, essentially. All they're eligible to do is, like I said, not be deported and just get a work permit. And all the work permit does essentially is just allow you to get a social security number and a driver's license so you can kind of get back to the community, work here. But there's no direct path to citizenship, which is unfortunately what a lot of people, the misconstrued.
They kind of thought that.
That they think that's what they're getting at. And so a lot of individuals that were opposed to it was because of that. They're like, oh, we don't want a direct path to citizenship. And actually, there's no real direct path to citizenship, because usually you have to get a green card along the way, and then you apply for citizenship.
Right.
Like that.
So trying to translate a little bit of what Pegah just mentioned here, for people who are listening to us, हमारी community के ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो कि अपने parents के साथ and बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग भी हैं जो कि शायद अपने बलबूते पे किसी और के साथ, किसी guardian के साथ इस मुल्क में आए और बहुत young age में आए, under 16 की age में आए, और यहाँ पर आके या तो वो illegally इस मुल्क में आए, अमेरिका में illegally आने वालों की तादाद बहुत ज्यादा है, we know that, and अभी इस पे काफी ज्यादा कैप लग गया है, लेकिन पहले से बहुत ज्यादा लोग आते रहे हैं. बट नॉट सिर्फ ये, बल्कि इसके साथ साथ वो लोग जो कि शायद विजिट वीजा पे आए, सिर्फ विजिट करने के लिए, बट दे ओवरस्टेड और उन्होंने किसी तरीके से इस कम्युनिटी में अपनी जगह बना ली. अब वो लोग जो कि इतनी यंग एज में आए हैं, खासतौर पर सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम उनके साथ ये होता है कि ऑफ कोर्स जहां पर आप बड़े हुए होते हैं, जिस मुल्क में आप आपके टीनेजर्स खास तौर पे गुजरे हुए होते हैं, वो मुल्क आपका मुल्क होता है, बिकॉज नाउ यू फील दैट यू बिलोंग टू दैट कंट्री बिकॉज यू हैव एक्चुअली ग्रोन अप ओवर देयर. लेकिन अगर हम इमिग्रेशन को देखें और लॉज को देखें तो हमें पता चलेगा दैट वी आर नॉट अलाउड. दैट मीन्स कि यहाँ पे रहने का हमारा कोई हक नहीं है. अगर ये ऑप्शन सोची जाए तो ऐसे में अपने मुल्क वापस जाना, जिस मुल्क से आप आए हैं, अपने मुल्क वापस जाना, वहां जाके सेटल डाउन होना बिल्कुल इम्पॉसिबल हो जाता है, बिकॉज आपने कभी उस मुल्क को अपना मुल्क समझा ही नहीं है. ऐसी सिचुएशन में एक ऐसा लॉ जो कि ओबामा एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के दौरान जिसका शुरुआत की गई, लेकिन वो कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ. लेकिन अभी वी ऑल्सो नो दैट tomorrow actually is the last day for something. Pegah is right here in the studios with us, an immigration attorney हमारे साथ हैं, पहले भी आ चुकी हैं और हमें बता रही हैं कि किस तरीके से ये लॉ जो है हमें अफेक्ट करेगा और किस तरीके से हम इससे बेनिफिट कर सकते हैं. अनफॉर्चुनेटली उनका ये भी कहना है कि it is not a direct path to citizenship. अगर ये जो इसकी स्टेट है, अगर इसमें ये लागू भी हो जाता है, इसमें भी सिर्फ आपको जो है एक वर्क परमिट मिलेगा, यानी कि काम करने का परमिट मिलेगा, और आपको जो है एक लीगल स्टेटस मिलेगा. लेकिन इससे ज्यादा फ्यूचर क्या होल्ड करता है आपके लिए, बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन मार्क है यहाँ पर. DACA is the topic for today. If you've just joined us right here on Radio Dabang, of course, myself, Lena, is right here in the studios. Jan is right here as well, and we have immigration attorney Pegah telling us details about this. Pegah, thank you so much once again. Tomorrow is the last day for something. What do we need to do, and who are we addressing as well? Yes, Jan.
Before you answer that question, DACA, what does it stand for?
It's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals.
Okay, so Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival. I always wondered that. I saw it somewhere.
So it's going to affect everyone who arrived in this country as a child and were here illegally.
If they met the qualifications that Obama put into place.
Okay.
So you had to have entered before your 16th birthday.
Okay.
And then in addition to requirements of being physically present between certain dates and proving those documentations and evidence to show you were in fact in the U.S., you also have to have no crimes, have to have at least had a high school diploma or a GED, or have been enrolled in college.
Okay. Before you came or during that time?
No, during that
time.
Yeah.
Okay,
so what Pegah has just mentioned right now is कि qualifications क्या है उन लोगों की जो कि ये डाका के लॉ के अंडर फॉल करते हैं. एक तो वो ये कि वो अमेरिका आए हों अपनी 16th बर्थडे से पहले, और इसके अलावा नंबर 2 ये कि उनके ऊपर कोई क्राइम्स ना हो. सर्टन डेट्स भी मेंशन है कि इतना वक्त आपने अमेरिका में गुजारा हो, और उसको प्रूव भी करना पड़ेगा. और ना सिर्फ ये, बल्कि उसके साथ साथ आपके पास कोई GED या हाई स्कूल डिप्लोमा हो, यानी कि जो आप इस मुल्क में आए और इस मुल्क में आके आपने एक रहने की कोशिश की है, यहाँ का सिटीजन बनने की कोशिश की है, तो यू हैव बीन अ रिस्पॉन्सिबल सिटीजन, you have not been involved in any crimes as well, and not just that, you have actually done something with your life, gotten a high school diploma or a GED diploma or something like that, and you will need to show proof of all of that as well.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually these are bright individuals, because like we mentioned, that they have to get some sort of high school GED or continue their education, or some of them even have served in the military and have been honorably discharged. So those individuals were also qualified too.
So the person who served in the military and they were an immigrant, they served in
if they met the DACA requirements, and that was
requirements.
if they didn't have like the high school or the education requirement, then they could meet the military requirement.
Okay.
But
so that's a wide, broad scope of people, which is interesting.
So we actually had about 800,000 individuals qualify for DACA.
Okay.
So can you imagine all these people scrambling?
Did you say 800?
800,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
DACA individuals who are in DACA, and probably scrambling to renew their applications.
Like right now?
Well,
Since September?
So tomorrow, September 5th through tomorrow, which is the deadline. So if they're going to submit applications, do it today.
Today is the last day.
But you have to mail it to make sure it gets there on October 5th.
Okay. So long as it's postmarked.
Yes.
Okay.
It's got to get there by October 1st. October 5th.
Okay. So it doesn't have to get there. It has to be postmarked.
We recommend, as attorneys, we're pretty paranoid with how the government handles it. So we usually like to make sure we give ourselves at least one day. I usually don't like to mail a packet right at the last minute because something might happen.
Okay, well, but suppose today is the 4th.
It's supposed, so I would say it technically ends tomorrow on the 5th. So if they receive it on the 6th, that's...
Where do you have to, where do we have to take it? Where are you taking it?
Well, you have to look at what the address is. I don't know off the top of my head where
it's
it is.
In Houston?
Right. No, you mail it to the USCIS address that's online. Like I said, I don't have the information in front of me for the exact address, but usually they're either available to FedEx or UPS, or you could do, U.S. Postal.
So that's why you're saying to make sure today, don't wait till tomorrow.
I like to send applications, FedEx, get there the next day, especially with something as crucial as this with the deadline fast approaching.
That's great. So I have one question over here. For many of our listeners who were sleeping throughout this time, like they had no idea what's happening, what are we talking about right now, and they might be thinking that they know somebody or they themselves or someone in their family falls into this. I mean, they came into this country before the age of 16 and all the other pre-qualifications like you mentioned, Pegah. They've said it right now, and just right now by listening to this show they have like woken up. They're like, oh my god, what do I do right now? So what do? They go on to the website, they Google DACA, DACA. What's happening?
Yeah, so basically what Trump did is rescind the DACA program. He rescinded the executive order that Obama...
Okay, now say that in lay terms.
Basically ended.
Ended the DACA program.
Now, and I'll explain what that means, because a lot of times people are like, okay, so as of today it's ended. What that means is they're not... he ended the program, so that executive order is if you have a work permit and it's still valid till, X number of months and, date in whatever year, probably 2018 or maybe 2019, depends on when you renewed, then those are still in effect. The program has ended, but they're not just going to go start collecting people and
documents.
get rid of your getting rid of your work permit. If you still have a valid work permit, great, that's still good. So they're ending the program, giving Congress 6 months from September 5th to initiate some sort of new bill or something to protect these individuals. And they're giving Homeland Security the 6 month period to wind down the program and do what they need to do. But for new applicants, starting September 5th, when President Trump made that announcement, they wouldn't qualify. They're no longer accepting new applications. So it's only down to those that are eligible to renew their work permit. So unfortunately, those that think they may have qualified, time's been up September 5th for those initial applications.
Oh, so the initial applicant, it was September 5th ended. When he rescinded it and ended that, they were no longer allowed to apply
as new initial
DACA applicants. So a 16-year-old or older, a student that's here, I'm just playing it out in my head, right now.
Well, by now they're probably like in their late 20s.
Okay, say they're in their 30s or something. They woke up today and they realized, ooh, I need to apply.
Yeah.
Too late.
Unfortunately, it is too late.
So so they're in a...
So they can't, if they try to apply, their applications are just going to get sent back.
Gotcha.
And then even with the renewals, it's those that actually expire between September 5th, 2017 and March 5th of 2018. Okay. So if your permit expires between those dates, then that's when you can apply or renew up until tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. But if it expired beforehand, it's going to expire outside of that time frame. Then unfortunately, again, you don't qualify to renew.
Are they doing something else for these people as well? Because it's
fall.
Like you said, even right now it's 800,000 people, and
with a lot of backlog with USCIS.
Yes, exactly. And you're saying they would be in their late 20s, so they're like millennials, and they're trying to, of course,
they're probably working. They've gotten their degrees. They're doing their thing right now.
Exactly.
That's what I'm thinking. They're working here. So
and when you spend a lot of time in a country, and this is what I was talking about earlier as well, that you came here before 16, and now you're in your late 20s. This is the place you call home. There's no other home for you.
They don't know their
Yeah.
origin.
So
Some of them don't even
what is
speak
going to
the
be
language of origin.
Yes,
So.
exactly. So what is gonna? I mean, these people must feel so stranded being in a country and not belonging to that country.
Yeah. Well, it's a very unfortunate situation. But again, everything kind of comes down to very fact-intensive, case by case.
Okay.
Not just in terms of, what other benefits they're going to be eligible for outside of DACA, but just if in fact they are eligible for any immigration benefit. So some of these individuals, that's all they qualified for was DACA. So once DACA ends, that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. Some of the individuals were able to get advanced parole while they maintained their DACA. Advanced parole is a travel document. You, if the government allows, you apply for it, and if the government issues it, then you're allowed to travel outside the country. And upon reentry, if Customs and Border Protection doesn't find any issues, they allow you back in. Now you've been paroled. So no longer are you this illegal individual, for instance, let's say for those who illegally entered and got DACA. Now you potentially can have a step towards relief in terms of immigration. Now, if you, let's say, for instance, you are married to a U.S. citizen, now you've gotten this parole too. Now you're eligible to apply for a green card in the U.S.
Okay.
But, in certain situations, like I said, it's very fact intensive. You have to actually sit down with an attorney and figure out
Where do you stand? What's your status?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Some people may have other options. Some people, this was their only option. And until, Congress steps up and does something about it, then once their work permit expires, it's pretty much going to be the end of DACA for now.
Okay, so that's a good point. That person, their work permit expires June 28th, 2018.
They can't renew because it's not within that March 5th, 2018 time frame. If it was going to expire between September 5th, 2017 and March 5th, 2018, then they could renew up until tomorrow. If it expires after that, there's no, because they're trying to wind down the program in the next 6 months. So if you're eligible, now's the time to renew and reach the max amount of time you can renew on your work permit. If not, then if it expired before or after that time frame, then you don't qualify to renew, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
And then what do you do?
I mean, it looks like such a sad situation for a lot of people, because you just mentioned that even if you were eligible, you would be eligible to apply for an extension to your work permit. So, these people who are here, they've spent their entire lives over here. And I think that, anyone who's listening to us right now, you may not be, affected by DACA. Your family may be absolutely safe and, citizens and not having any problems here, having a great life. But every time you meet a city official, and Jan, we talk about this on the show all the time, that, if you can find 5 minutes to write an email to a city official or meet them up and just talk to them and say, you heard about DACA on radio and you're really concerned about the lives of these people who are living from work permit to work permit, rather, they cannot call this place home. And that's very sad.
And they are a vital part of the economic growth in that city, that state. So, and they have been. Say those people, that 800,000, just say there was 100,000 of them that have been really, really productive, and they've really put a lot of money into the economic growth of the U.S. Exactly. For Trump to just say, wham, let's end it, and not...
I think he's trying to put crunch time on Congress, because initially the reason DACA came about under Obama was that Obama wanted Congress to pass what was called the DREAM Act, which is why these DACA individuals called the Dreamers. The act itself, the bill, was never passed. So Obama took it onto himself to issue this executive order. So I think what Trump's trying to do is, okay, you guys had all this time under Obama to come up with something to help these individuals.
Meaning Congress.
You didn't do. Yes.
Okay. So he's saying, okay,
and
Congress.
This is kind of crunch time for Congress.
Okay. So it's kind of like, in the meantime, sorry, those people that I might affect and crunch you. I'm trying to make this a better situation for.
I wouldn't say necessarily that he's all for, happy-go-lucky.
Really?
Yeah. No, I mean, there is obviously different intent between what he wants and what he's talking about and what's going to be implemented and things like that. But I just think that, like I said, if this was something that was going to be passed, it would have happened under Obama, because he's the one that initially brought it up, and it got talked, and through Congress, but then it just never passed.
So the chances of it getting passed is...
I think now that people have gotten to see what DACA has been about, these individuals getting education, giving back to the community, whether they're working, paying taxes, again, these individuals usually don't have crimes.
Yeah.
I mean, these are good, upstanding young folk that are giving back to the community.
Because they know the price of going the wrong way. They're here. It's like I'm here on a pass.
Exactly.
I definitely don't want to miss
And
out.
these are people that are going to likely be fluent in English, as well as their first
other
language.
languages. Exactly.
Yes.
And like I said, educated, working, paying taxes.
And want to be entrepreneurs, because we have so many millennials wanting to do that.
Exactly. So now that Congress has kind of seen what these individuals are about, now's the time.
Oh, okay. So there could be a rainbow in the sky, kind of, being that this happened, hopefully, that Congress, because it was sitting on it, they get to see now, you got to get up. And maybe something what you just said, we as a people need to write these letters, and we need to maybe have a petition going and send it in. Be real serious about it, because something Katy Perry said today on the radio, she said, I'm just sick and tired of everybody because of the incident happened in Vegas. They, we all get on the radio, we all get on TV, we all say, oh, I'm so sad about it. Okay, that's wonderful. We got to do something. You can't just say, okay, guys, we got this information out here, and I'm here to say to whoever's listening, let's do it. Let's get some. I have direct contact with some congressmen and congresswomen. Let's send letters and let's let them know. Listen, push this thing. You need to get the vote, get it ready, because there's no reason why that many people who have put into, if there was like lazy bums and weren't doing anything, I would be the first to say, listen, you don't deserve to be here. Because there's people here, criminals and not doing anything. There's people here that risk their lives, and I know many of them down south that risk their lives to come to this country, and they are productive. So if you're not, then you need to get rid of them. But these ones that have done well, man, I think that we, even us as Americans, have to get off our butts and help, because you can't say it's not your problem, because your coworker, you're the person in the restaurant that you like to go to, it might not be them, but it may be a family member. So all along that whole circle or circles, we are all affected by this.
Right. Jan, you know what? I'm going to extend this a little further.
Please do.
And I think that maybe Pegah is going to identify with me over here. Especially majority of our listeners are they're from Pakistan, from India, from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Afghanistan, Iran. A lot of Iranian people listening to us as well. Now these are people who know in their country they cannot contribute to the government. They cannot really contribute to the society in the way that they want to. And I think
they don't have a voice. Is that what
they don't have a voice there? And I think that has been one of the reasons that they decided to leave their countries and migrate to the United States, because the United States is absolutely different. You don't only get to live your dream, live the American dream. You get all the opportunities, equal opportunities for everybody, but you also get to participate to make the society what it is today. So the society is going to be tomorrow or day after tomorrow, the country, the United States of America, the Texas, the Houston we're going to be living in tomorrow is the one that we have shaped today. So we want our city to be safe. We want our city, we want our country to provide actually for those people who are good people, who have good intentions, who want to make this country a better place as well. And they are around us, and we have to be proactive about it. So if we are talking about Houston water, me and Jan, we are always saying you need to reach out to the government, you need to reach out to the officials, you need to talk about it. If we are talking about women and men who are being subject to domestic abuse, we are talking about it. You need to look out, you need to be aware. So I think what I arrive at the end of so many things, resonating with the stuff that we have talked about over the last couple of months, and with what just Pegah said right now, is that we all have to collectively participate in our community, in our society, and make sure that everyone is taken care of. Everyone's taken care of. So in this process, we also identify the bad people, the bad guys, we identify them. But at the same time, we identify the good people as well. And they got problems. We got a voice. We need to use that.
We need to use our voice. And that's definitely the strength. Because remember when Congressman Al Green was on that afternoon, and remember something he said. He said, just because there are people who are not citizens, they think that because they're not citizens, they don't have the power or the voice to be a part of this. They do. And even Gordon Kwan said this as well. He said, people in that status need to still be a part of this. Like when they right now when they're having voting registration, and they're having a lot of these campaigns. Those are the people who, if you're working here on a visa, you can still work. You can be out there. You can send out flyers. You can get involved.
Just don't register.
You can't register. No, what he was saying is that you can send flyers. You can help on the phone. Someone can have a phone bank at their house. You can call.
They can do a lot of the grassroots kind of
effort. From your community, they could call and say, these are the issues that we're experiencing. Okay, Congressman, I didn't know about that. So we need to talk about it. We need to write letters.
That's all about being active in the community, reaching out to the higher ups, the Congress people, or, even at the grassroots level, at the lower levels, whether it's getting involved in rallies or, events going on at local charities or universities, and communities marching.
I think that your people,
even a Facebook status.
Oh, Facebook status, yeah.
You don't know who you have friends, who your friends are on Facebook sometimes, and sometimes they're the right people, who may pass on, who may share your page, and their friends may say something, and they may see something, and they may, be proactive about it.
I think we should continue to, that's why I had Pegah to come back, because it's so important that we keep this dialogue going, and especially something you just said, a lot of people that are from your community and people from Hispanic communities, they're in their own country, they don't have those rights. They didn't grow up with I grew up with the right. I grew up knowing that I had a right to speak, and in my classroom I could say to the teacher in a nice way that I don't agree. And then afterwards, if I still didn't agree, I could come home and tell my mom, and my mom write a letter and say, okay, let's talk about this. Many people that are here working, and they're like you're saying, they come from countries that they didn't have a voice. So I guess we have to help encourage them and keep them, make them understand it, make them see you do have a voice. Get behind me. I'm a citizen, so I need to get behind me. Help me.
Well, part of that too, I think, is depending on which country you're coming from, is the fear of authority.
Yes.
Some of them are afraid to speak because they're afraid that's going to get reported back to their home country if they are anti their country or speak against their own country, or it could be something that's political or something, and they're just very afraid to trust that authority.
And it's their culture too, because you're right. The culture of that country, a lot of them don't. They're just taught not to speak out, and authoritative is just like someone else does that, not me. There's another level that speaks for me.
Well, like for like Central America, for instance, or parts of Latin America, sometimes the gangs are the law enforcement. Law enforcement is so corrupt. They're like kind of one and the same almost, and people are afraid, well, who's the good guy and who's the bad guy? Who can I actually file a police report to or express my fear or concern to? And then if it either goes unnoticed or nobody cares, or they're so corrupt that maybe they get killed or kidnapped or something happens to a family member,
I see.
Then they just rather not speak or talk.
So those people who would come here would bring that fear here, so they don't.
Some of them do bring them here. Yeah.
So they're not sure.
I think it's the millennials, though, because they've kind of grown up here now at a younger age and get to see that freedom of speech and expression and religion and various things that the U.S. Through the Constitution allows us, that they are able to voice those, and there's such a strong bonded community. But it's the younger generation that's doing that, because you still see a lot of individuals that are outside that group that are still afraid to speak up.
Wow, this is such an awesome conversation, and what John actually was mentioning about, whether they bring that fear here, I think some of that fear becomes part of the DNA as well, and it is passed on, and even for the younger generation, for them to break the shackles of that fear. We talked about it, I think last year. We had Mr. Khan, who was actually one of the speakers at the Democratic Convention before the elections last year.
Okay.
When he was actually the one who challenged Trump if he has read the Constitution. He was right here in the studios, and we were talking about the same thing, that we come from this background of slavery. A couple of 100 years ago, we were people living in the subcontinent were slaves to the British. And they had to fight that, and as soon as they got out of that, and then we had the so-called monarchs, the feudal lords who came over and started controlling the government over there. And because the people were so long used to that kind of life, they didn't really understand that they are going to another kind of slavery, and for them to get out of it is really difficult. at the same time we realize that this country is so beautiful. God bless the United States of America. You know, we can break the shackles over here.
But then again, they may be feeling like, I'm scared to touch that because it's so beautiful. I'm just going to stay quiet because I don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Exactly.
I better just shut up and just be glad I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope that we can get past that.
I mean, and we see this again a lot with especially the Hispanic community, because I deal a lot with the Hispanic population, and you see them, all they want is like a work permit to work. They'll shut up, they'll deal with domestic violence, they'll kind of deal with whatever is handed to them as long as they're able to like quietly work, make a little bit of money for their family, or just send back home. And it's like, it's so sad that's all they've come here for, when there's all this opportunity and they can voice it and be a part of that, and you know, put forth those
That
efforts.
is really true, because I met a young lady during the dark time of my life, going through my divorce and all that other stuff with domestic violence, and just having to re-identify myself. I met a young lady, her and I became really friends, and she's Hispanic, and I was the one who pushed her after she had been here for, I'm talking about maybe 10 years, working just on the visa, and all she wanted to do was go to work. She wasn't trying to, I kept saying, you know, you could apply, and you got kids here, you can apply and then go back to school.
That's another form of slavery. Is the
her
domestic
mind
violence
was,
abuser.
and she would say, Taylor, just don't say nothing. I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I said, but you're working like every day, 7 days a week. You're working. Why don't you just tell your boss you need Sunday off? Just say I want Sunday off. She'd say, no. I asked one time and he gave me problem, so I just stayed up. I just shut up. So I would help her with her kids on weekends. She'd bring them to my house at 5 in the morning.
Wow.
Because she had to be to work at 6, 5 in the morning, in their pajamas, and then during the day, you know, I would get her, have breakfast, take them around, let them play or whatever. And she didn't get off till like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. But just think, that's what she did. She kept quiet. When finally I said, stop it. You have a right to do better.
Well, and then
I connected her with people who helped her get her
Good
visa. Well, she had the visa, but they helped her get her green card.
Is it through like VAWA or something? Was it a domestic violence?
It was through that program,
probably
yes.
through
And
VAWA.
they helped her, and she ended up getting to the status where just a few months ago she was eligible for the Habitat. She got her like citizenship.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was able to apply for the Habitat homes.
Okay.
She wasn't able before because
The
we had to be
requirement.
a citizen. So if I hadn't pushed her, and what I did was I took her to an event at the library and let her see that there were Hispanic women there, and they got their citizenship.
Well, knowledge is power.
Yes, and you can see. And when she went, we went to the houses, to area, and she saw those houses, even though they all looked almost alike, but she had never seen anything like that. You should have seen her eyes, and she was like, "Oh, Taylor, I want this." I said, "I'm gonna just give me some time. I'm gonna hook you up with the right person. You can have this." Because, like you said, they already have the work ethics. A lot of them, they want to be here, so they're not going to mess up. They're going to do everything, dot the I, cross the T, to get them where they want to be.
But they're just afraid. They're vulnerable. So whether it's their partner abusing them and taking advantage
Or
of
the
them,
employer.
or it's their employer,
Right.
or other members in the community that take advantage or kind of hold their immigration status hostage. I mean, it's a very sad situation.
Do you
got
have
like
a lot of? Do you
15
hear anything like that in your community?
Yes,
You do?
It's
Okay,
across
it's
the
across the board.
I think this is really happening very deep in our community as well.
Really?
And also because, and especially, I would like to talk about women over here as well.
Okay.
And we've got the show's just.
I know we hate that. We always get to the deep good parts about 10 minutes before closing.
Yeah, and we also want to talk about a little bit about the travel ban as well.
Okay.
But especially women in our community, I do know they go through a lot just because they are brought up in a way, and I'm not talking about the millennial generation. I'm talking about the generation before that. They are brought up in a way. They're brought up in a way as if they are subordinates to men, and that makes them subordinates to any male figure in their life. Their husband, their neighbor,
employer,
their employer. Like everybody. They kind of feel that and they feel that they're not as good as a man. Or their brains are not as I'm not trying to compare men and women over here, but I'm just saying, just trying to feel yourself inferior to somebody else just because you're a woman and the other person's a man makes no sense at all. But that's how they are raised, and it takes them maybe a lifetime to get out of it. And some women are even happy just making sure that their girls are out of it, because they have made that decision, they have made that compromise. They're like, okay, I'm done with it, because in our culture, and it's come in so many Bollywood movies as well. They say, once a woman gets married and she's sent to the groom's house, and that's where they live,
right.
And they are told, the last thing they tell the daughter before she's leaving home is that only your dead body leaves that house now. So you're not leaving that house no more.
Wow.
So marriages or divorces have become a little more common in Iran, but that's still somewhat of the mentality with the more traditional households. Like once you're married, it's either you belong to your father or you belong to your husband. Once you're a daddy's girl at home, you have certain rights. And with Iran, especially, like traveling outside of Iran, you either have to have your father's permission or your husband's permission. Now, if you're divorced, I think it's easier, but to divorce used to be pretty taboo back in Iran, and it's become more prevalent. But it was kind of the same mentality.
Right.
You don't come back unless it's your dead body.
Wow.
You
see me over here like, wow.
It's like so backwards.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and it is not that backward at all. It's not too long ago that we are talking about. Before the show comes to an end, we have to talk about the travel ban as well. Last time Pegah was in the show, we discussed a lot about it and what's happening. What are the updates? What's going on?
So we have the travel ban, or the Trump ban 3.0. Yay!
Okay.
It's like the new version every time.
Okay. Okay, that's it. The 3.0.
This is the 3.0 that we're calling it.
Okay.
The third one,
Okay.
and it's going into effect October 18th, 2017. We
Say
have
that again. October 18th.
Yes.
2017.
2017. And this time we have 7 countries affected. It's going to be Iran, Chad, Libya, Syria, Yemen, North Korea, and now Venezuela's on the list as well. Iraq and Sudan were removed from the list. And these 7 countries that are affected, for the most part, with the exception of Venezuela, they're going to be basically suspending immigrant and non-immigrant visas. And what non-immigrant visas are the tourist visas, for business or pleasure, certain visas that are just, your intent is just to come for a temporary visit. Those are the non-immigrant ones. And then the immigrant visas are the green card ones, the ones that lead to getting a green card. So those are going to be suspended for all these countries for the most part.
Suspended. When you say suspended, what does that mean?
That means until they unsuspend it, like basically almost banning entry for those.
So what? Okay, and is it effective on people who are already in the U.S. or only people?
So
who are
the exceptions are going to be basically if you have a green card, then you're good. Okay. So that doesn't apply to you. If you're a foreign national who is admitted or paroled on that date or after that date, then you're okay too. If you're a foreign national who holds a document other than a visa, and allows your entry into the U.S., then you should be okay as well. Those who are dual nationals from one of those countries and another foreign country and have the passport for that country and hold their visa and not passport, those are going to be okay. So if you're like Iranian and French or something, you have your French passport, you should be okay to travel on that French passport in. But if you're just Iranian, for instance, you're subject to this. Also, foreign nationals traveling on diplomatic or NATO visas, those are going to be okay. There's exceptions for those. And those foreign nationals also who are granted asylum or refugee status already, or were given withholding from their removal based on claims of persecution or torture or something like that. So those are going to be also, with regard to Venezuela real quick though, I know this isn't really this community, but those
we
only
have some Venezuelan people listening.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, shout out to Venezuelans. So the government officials are going to be impacted in terms of their visas and their family members for both immigrant and non-immigrant. And of course, those visa holders now are going to be scrutinized to make sure all their information's up to date and stuff like that.
And that's Venezuela.
For Venezuela.
And
everybody else is.
Why is that? Because they're new to the list?
I think it's more of a government-related issue.
So we have 2 new countries on the ban this time.
Yeah, North Korea and Venezuela.
So I think I understand why we have North Korea on there. But is that really the reason?
Lena, take this. There's a list right here. I just wanted you to tell it. Well, go back and speak it to in your language. Right. You can just tell them.
So it's Iran, Chad, Libya, Syria, Yemen, North Korea and Venezuela. और ये 7 countries वो countries हैं जो कि इस वक्त के अब के travel ban में शामिल हो गए हैं जो कि 18th October 2017 से लागू होने जा रहा है. इराक को इसमें से निकाल दिया गया है, सूडान को इसमें से निकाल दिया गया है. So 2 new countries have been added and 2 countries have been excluded. You know, it almost feels like a game.
Yeah, no. We take 2 off and 2 on.
So why is North Korea added to it? I mean,
I would imagine it's political, and especially with the climate of the whole like nuclear type weapons and things like that, what's going on with the leader of North Korea. It's kind of something, you know, very much like that.
And what about Sudan and Iraq? You know, why are they now out of
I think
the
their governments are more cooperative in terms
Okay.
of helping vet these individuals and things like that, and because of that cooperation, I think they've been taken off. Most of these other countries are deemed to be kind of hostile towards the U.S. and or not taking back their foreign nationals who have been deported from this country. So some of those issues is because of that. If the government's not willing to cooperate, and of course, again, politics is always involved with countries like Iran, North Korea, things like that. We also have Somalia actually on here too. But
Really?
Somalia, they're suspending their immigrant visas. But for the non-immigrant visas, they're making a discretionary call as long as they're not, if the applicant's not connected to like a terrorist organization or is not a threat to national security. But in general, this is all going to be affected, like I said, going to effect on October 18, 2017. And those who are outside the U.S. on that effective date or don't have a valid visa on that date or who don't qualify for a visa, those are the ones that this is going to be impacting. And what's kind of unclear though is that whether these individuals are going to be able to get a visa at the consulate, because basically both the officers at the consulate's going to have this discretion to make a case-by-case waiver or just straight ban the individual from getting a visa, or whether it's going to be Customs and Border Protection upon entering. Because the language of the ban actually says entry, meaning, you know, you're actual wanting to enter the U.S. So it's kind of a little bit vague in terms of whether they could still be potentially issued a visa if they meet the criteria of like undue hardship on a family member, or maybe they have strong ties to the U.S. already through work or family or something like that, and they get a waiver on a case-by-case basis. If they get issued that visa, whether Customs now is going to make kind of like that second case-by-case exception and allow them in. So that's where it gets a little bit tricky.
So,
we're not really sure about how
So
it's
that's
gonna play out.
that kind of makes me, I'm not sure how to take that, because it's left in the hands of whether it's Customs or if it's the consulate.
Yeah, so they're okay, because the thing is, they're talking about visas in one context, but then entry in another. So it's like I said, that's where it's kind of confusing. And since it just it's going to be going into effect, we're really not going to know how it's going to play out. Right. Of course, attorneys are going to be on standby to file packets, waiver packets either at the port of entry for the individual to bring in if they already have a visa, or upon going to their interview at the consulate. Right. And they're still allowing waivers, even though it's like kind of like a blanket suspension for these like immigrant, non-immigrant type visas for these countries. And basically you have to satisfy, like I said, the officer at the consulate or Customs that you're either going to that your entry is going to cause undue hardship on you as a foreign national, or your entry would not pose a threat to national security, and that your entry would be in the national interest. So you're going to meet all these criteria. And then
undue hardship is like you went out of the country and you went to one of those countries and you had to come back. The undue hardship, is that like I'm a mom and my kids are here and my family's here and I need
they've given some examples, and I think that's something that could be used as an undue hardship type aspect, but again, we don't really have concrete definitions.
What is that? That's scary because exactly.
Well, it's kind of like the initial Trump ban that went into effect, and then all of a sudden, Customs was kind of up in the air, denying green card holders
because they weren't sure.
Yeah, they weren't sure, so it was big chaos, and they were denying green card holders from coming into the country.
Chaos,
and then they were like, okay, let's clarify, green card holders are excluded. So it takes like some chaos and for all us to figure out what's going on, who's going to be affected, and how to go about it.
That's just so interesting.
And people who are listening, when we're laughing, it's not a laugh of funny. We're laughing because in our hearts, it's like I can't believe it.
We're just being sarcastic here.
Yeah. Cannot believe
it's just a big
that
confusion.
Person's lives are going to be set up for a, what would you call that, trial and error. Okay, well, we're not sure yet, so we'll try you.
Good way to put it.
Yeah, trial and error, because we're not sure. We'll find out when your family comes through after the 18th. Yeah, then on the 18th or the 19th,
people will find out.
Then we'll find out. We're not really sure.
Before the show comes to an end, we got just 2 minutes to go, but there's one question that I'd like to ask you, Pegah, and this is especially for our community, people from Pakistan and India, majority of people, and the Southeast Asia who are listening to us. A lot of them are here on work permit. A lot of them are here on student visas, on green cards, and going through a lot of immigration processes. Do they have to worry about something? Any precautions that you'd like to say and advise them about, that these are the precautions that they need to take?
In terms of Pakistan and India, they're not going to be subject, obviously, to the travel ban. So I would just say make sure you're just keeping in line with whatever the eligibility of or the terms are of your visa or your work permit, your green card, making sure you're maintaining your ties if you're a green card holder. This is something common for Pakistanis, Indians, Iranians. I mean, elderly parents especially, they have a green card. They go outside and live most of their life over there, come back for a 2-week visit, and then think that they could do that back and forth until customs stops them and threatens to take away their green card. So just make sure you're not violating your statuses, your work permit, things like that. But especially for the green card holders is something very crucial. A lot of them, they obtain their green cards probably through their spouse or a sibling or their child or something like that. But for the elderly generation, they like to go back and stay home, like go back to their home country, come visit for 2 weeks, and then they have no ties to show to the U.S. So build those ties. Have a home here, an apartment or something, bank accounts, file your tax returns if you have to. Build up those ties and try to make very limited short trips under 6 months. Gotcha. Again, because if you're a lawful permanent resident, your residency should be in the U.S., not back home. And then especially if you want to try to get to citizenship, because we get a lot of Pakistanis and Indians who are like, okay, I've been a resident for like 10 years or something, 12 years. I want to become a naturalized citizen. How can I do that? We go through all their travel history, and it's like, well, you keep pushing back your naturalization time frame because of all your travels.
Good information.
And you keep cutting off those, the length of time that you're supposed to be here, and then you disqualify yourself. So then you have to keep waiting an extra, 2-3 years, and it becomes hard for them. But it's something I have to routinely tell you. Like once you become a citizen, then fine.
You can do that.
Live abroad or something, that's fine. But green card holders, especially, it's crucial.
That's
very good information.
Thank you so much, Pegah, for being with us in the studios today.
Thank you so much.
And Jan, awesome as always today as well. We covered a lot, and with this episode of The Bridge is also coming to an end. Let's do a little give people information about what's going to be happening tomorrow, Jan.
Oh, wow. Tomorrow is thick serious as well. It's another thick topic. It's about protesting. But we're going to do more of understanding what starts it, what's good about it, what areas positive and negative, as well as we also want to talk about what's happening with the hate crime in Vegas, and how we as a people must get more serious about the peace and the love that has to be set in place. And I know a lot of us do have that, but I mean, we just got to do a little bit more. And I think it ties into mental health, that we as a society, it's a taboo, so we don't really talk about it, and we don't get involved in it like we really should. And when they finished with this investigation, I'm almost positive it's all going to come to something on that platform of mental illness. And that is an area that America as a whole knows it exists, but we just don't do enough about it. And I have seen it firsthand right here during Harvey. They got a front seat during that time, and still they're being put in the back of the room. And we got to do better, because if we don't tackle that, things like this is going to continue to harm our safety. Because when you look at it, you can't be a sane person that hits a window and not hit it, but figures out how to break out a window of a hotel and shoot people who you don't know. That's insane. There's something going on with that. So that's what I just want to say, is that I hope more people listen in tomorrow, so we can really come together as a family of Houstonians and just people, all of us over the world.
Thank you so much once again. So we're going to be back with that tomorrow, 12 to 1. And thank you once again, Pegah.
Thanks, Pegah. Bye, everybody.
Alrighty, इसी के साथ आपसे मुलाकात करूंगी 3 बजे with yet another session of Showtime.